Speaking Task 1. You will be asked a question about a familiar topic. You will then have 15 seconds to prepare your response, and 45 seconds to speak.
Do you agree or disagree with the statement that female and male university students should have separate residence halls?
Prepare your response after the beep. Start speaking after the beep.
I disagree with the statement that male and female university students should have separate residence halls. My opinion is based on two main reasons. Firstly, university is a place for learning, not just academics, but also social aspects. Sharing residence halls allows students to interact and learn from each other, fostering a greater understanding and mutual respect among genders. This goes a long way in promoting healthy relationships and gender equality. Secondly, having separate halls might lead to unnecessary stereotypes and misconceptions. When students live together, they get to witness the realities, break stereotypes, and form an unbiased opinion about the opposite gender. Therefore, I believe that keeping separate halls for males and females undermines the very essential principles of a university.
Speaking Task 2. You will read a short paragraph and then listen to a conversation between two people. You will have 50 seconds to read the paragraph. After, you will get a question about what you read and heard. You will have 30 seconds to prepare your response and then 60 seconds to give it. You have 50 seconds to read. Start reading after the beep. Now listen to the conversation between two people.
I think what the career services wants to offer to us is quite ridiculous, to be honest.
I actually think that it would be really helpful and that they might really hire us later on.
You think so? For me, this is nothing other than a waste of time. Time for which we would not be paid. I did my fair share of internships in the past. Not one of the companies called me back. Not one of them wanted to bring me on board.
But you still get something to put on your resume.
It's easy to get internship nowadays. I don't think that employers care much about any internship we did. Of course, there are exceptions, but these are internships for the big multinational companies. It is extremely difficult to get into those. The internships we will be getting will be nothing like that.
You think so?
I'm quite confident. I don't think that we will learn anything in these internships. You're basically a glorified personal assistant. They ask you to organize the file cabinet or bring coffee for everybody. They don't want you to bother them when they're doing important stuff.
I'm sure that you would get a chance to do something interesting in these internships. I will apply.
I'm not saying you shouldn't give it a try. I might be wrong. I'm basing my opinion on my personal experience.
Okay, thanks for admitting that. Like I said, I will apply, and I hope I will prove you wrong.
What does the male student think about the internships that the career services will get for the students?
Prepare your response after the beep. Start speaking after the beep.
The male student thinks that the internships that the career services will get for the students are a waste of time. He believes that they will not be paid and that companies will not hire them after the internships. He shares his personal experience of not getting called back by any of the companies for internships in the past. He believes that employers do not care about the internships the students have done and that they will not learn anything valuable during the internships. He views the internships as being similar to being a glorified personal assistant, where the students would only be asked to do menial tasks like organizing files and getting coffee. Despite the male student's negative opinion, the female student plans to apply for the internships and hopes to prove him wrong.
Speaking Task 3. You will read a short paragraph about an academic topic, then listen to a lecture about it. You will have 50 seconds to read the paragraph. After, you will get a question about what you read and heard. You will have 30 seconds to prepare your response and then 60 seconds to give it. You have 50 seconds to read. Start reading after the beep. Now listen to the lecture.
Let's take an example from everyday life to understand this concept better. Let's say you have a friend, Anna. Despite being a strong advocate for animal rights and welfare, Anna enjoys eating meat. She knows that the consumption practices of the meat industry often involves mistreatment of animals before they are slaughtered, but she continues to eat meat. This is a classic case of cognitive dissonance. In this situation, Anna holds two conflicting beliefs. Animals should be treated well, but she continues to support an industry that treats animals poorly. When she is reminded of this contradiction, Anna might experience psychological stress. She may try to resolve this stress by altering one of her beliefs. For example, she may convince herself that the meat she eats comes from humane farms where animals are treated well. Or she may downplay the importance of the conflict, explaining that her individual meat consumption has very little impact on the meat industry as a whole. This is just one example how cognitive dissonance theory plays out in our everyday lives.
Using the example from the lecture, explain the cognitive dissonance theory.
Prepare your response after the beep. Start speaking after the beep.
In the lecture, the professor talked about cognitive dissonance theory using an example of a person named Anna. Anna is a friend who cares about animals, but she also eats meat. This creates a conflict in her beliefs. According to cognitive dissonance theory, when a person has contradictory beliefs or values, they experience psychological stress. To reduce this stress, they may change one of their beliefs or ignore the conflict altogether. In Anna's case, She may convince herself that the meat she eats comes from humane farms, or she may downplay the importance of her individual consumption. This theory shows that people often try to minimize the conflict between their beliefs to feel more comfortable. So, cognitive dissonance theory helps us understand why people sometimes act in ways that contradict their beliefs or values.
You will listen to a lecture about an academic topic. After, you will get a question about what you heard. You will have 20 seconds to prepare your response and then 60 seconds to give it. Now listen to the lecture.
Figurative art is one of the oldest forms of art there is. It consists of work that represents humans and other forms of nature. It is one of the most enduring styles of art. Many leaders and cultural movements have used figurative art to make statements. Many things that are really important to us, many things to which we assign great value, we would be surprised to find out that they are parts of figurative art. We can also talk about figurative art by looking into its forms. Here we can talk about realism, expressionism, surrealism. Expressionism is focused on the emotions. This is achieved by, for example, presenting humans in uncomfortable body postures with exaggerated facial expressions. The purpose of showing that is that the person is feeling a certain way and they're feeling it intensely. Surrealism is a form in which, as you can guess from the name, deals with the outworldly. Its main feature are representations that come straight out of a dream. One might say that we are seeing a projection of somebody's subconscious mind. Similar to expressionism, we could see the human form being contorted in strange ways. But unlike surrealism, here the intent isn't to put an emphasis on a feeling. Rather, the intention is to show something supernatural.
What forms of figurative art are mentioned in the lecture? Include points and examples from the lecture.
Prepare your response after the beep. Start speaking after the beep.
In the lecture, the speaker mentioned two forms of figurative art, expressionism and surrealism. Expressionism focuses on the emotions and portrays humans in uncomfortable body postures with exaggerated facial expressions. For example, an expressionistic painting might show a person with a twisted body and a pained expression to convey intense emotions. On the other hand, surrealism deals with the outworldly and represents images that come from dreams or someone's subconscious mind. In surrealism, the human form may also be contorted in strange ways, but the purpose is not to depict a specific emotion like expressionism. Instead, it aims to portray something supernatural. Overall, these two forms of figurative art differ in their intention and the emotions they emphasize.